Hey friends, welcome back to the Color of Money podcast. My name is Julia Lachey and I am with my co-host today, Daniel Dixon. Guess what somebody told me, Daniel? Somebody was like, I really like when it's you and Daniel. And I was like,
really?
What? Word? No offense to Unc or Bo. We cannot do it without Unc and Bo. And they like our duo, Daniel. And but it's not just me and Daniel today. We have a guest, a fantastic guest. I was going to try to figure out how exactly to introduce the guest, but I'm going to call her an entrepreneur extraordinaire. My friend Fee Gentry is joining us today, and she's going to talk to us about a number of things. Fee, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you are the CEO of this, the CEO of that, the president of this, you're doing that. She literally is a real estate business entrepreneur extraordinaire. But can you tell us a little bit about, and please don't be shy. That's not what this is. This is not a podcast where you be modest. People need to know what it is you do, who you are. I know Fee from when Fee was leading the diversity efforts at EXP. Of course, I'm head of inclusion and belonging for KW, and Fee was that for EXP at one time, and so many other things. So tell us, please, Fee, welcome. Who are you?
Thank you. Like I said, I'm just Felicia, like my government name is Felicia Gentry, but obviously my stage name is Fee Gentry. I grew up on the Monterey Peninsula in California in the Bay Area. So that's what I say, go 49ers. That's why me and Daniel connected right there. But by heart, I am an entrepreneur. So, I've created or co-founded 9 different companies in 7 different industries. I've, everything from the health and wellness industries, but for the last 2 decades, so 20 years, I've been in the real estate space. And so what I'm currently doing, so I've been a licensed agent, I've led a team, I've been a team leader, I've done all those things. I was with Big Red with Keller Williams for 12 years of my career, right? So what I do now is I'm a business consultant for the real estate industry. So that's what I do. So I do consulting for equity, and I'm also doing mergers and acquisitions. So I'm helping, so that's what I'm doing now. And then I'm also a strategic officer or a strategy officer for a new startup real estate marketplace that is going to be coming online pretty soon that you guys will hear about. Yeah.
Okay, good. See, I told you there's no way I could have remembered all of those things, but you mentioned something and I thought it would be an excellent topic for today. A lot of times we have people on and we just kind of talk in general about building wealth, and we talk about leadership in general, but we've kind of, not in a few episodes, at least several episodes, talked about actual strategy. We talk about wealth building. We talk about getting more money. We haven't really talked about strategy, but that's actually what you are. You are a strategist. You are a business strategist. So today I was hoping that you could talk to us about literally what are some of the strategies specifically, like you said, you've owned several businesses. How do we buy and sell businesses and business opportunities?
Sure. Because And let me go back and start by saying, first of all, thank you all for having me on the show. I didn't even say that. So thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. But in terms of what we've been trained, whether it's in our childhood, our schooling, education, it's always been about, either working for somebody else or creating your own businesses. But what we haven't seen is, or have people talk to us, is about buying businesses. Right. And so everybody keeps saying, build a business. Right. But the way that the most wealthy top less than 1%, if you think of all of them, they have bought businesses. That's how they've created their wealth. If you look at Tesla, even though they've created certain things, they've bought businesses. If you look at Amazon, they have bought businesses. If you look at Warren Buffett, what has he done? He has purchased businesses. So it's just like what we do. So it's a transfer of skills. And that transfer of skill is looking at assets, like asset, which that's what I love about buying businesses. Guess what? They've already been in business for a long period of time. And I'll talk to you a little bit about criteria later on, but they've been in business, right? So they've got a proven track record. They're historical. They're time tested. They have profit. They've got a brand. They've got all those things in place. They're assets that are ready to go. And all they're waiting for is for people like us, especially those of us in the real estate industry, to go and buy them. Because guess what we do? What are we doing? We go find them. So we're already in the real estate industry. We already know how to find off-market deals. We already know how to procure and get, bring them to us. We already know how to have conversations and negotiate these business deals. We're already comfortable with that. And then we also know how to consult and negotiate and look at the contracts, right? And then we also have a team of people around us that help us procure and buy those businesses. And you could do them a lot of times with little to no money out of pocket, or we have lending institutions that'll help us acquire these assets.
It's such a fascinating conversation because we have so many people that own small businesses that are working on the exit. think the average age is something like 67 or something like that are exiting. And so the area that a lot of people don't have very much experience or knowledge with, how do you find it? How do you sell or finance it? How do you buy something like that with zero money down? I think for a lot of us real estate people, we're operators. And we're taking those systems and those tools of operating our businesses. KPIs are KPIs across every industry. Now, Fee, tell me a little bit about how do you evaluate an opportunity? You find the HVAC company that wants to potentially sell. How do you look at this? I've heard EBITDA is not a real thing, and you should never pay attention to it, right? How do you look at this and analyze it?
Right. So there's different ways. First, you have to be very clear about what you're buying. So it's called your buy box, your buying criteria, right? So my deal box, for example, and it depends on what you're buying. And so I'll talk to you more about, what you're buying, but my buying criteria is like, I'm looking for assets, whether it's an online asset, I'm looking for something like that has $250,000 a year minimum cash flow. So if I'm looking to buy an online Facebook group, for example, or a meetup group, I'm looking for $250,000 a year minimum. I want them to have been in business for at least, 5 years. And I want that group to have at least, 50,000 members. So that's what I'm looking for, right? So
I'm going to stop you off top because I know for some people they heard you say buy a Facebook
group. I was thinking the same thing.
So keep going, but I want to make sure you circle back to that. Keep going.
Yeah. So if I'm looking, so that's my deal box for for an online asset, and then but again, being clear about my assets, and then for an offline, like maybe a bricks and mortar, like so let's say Daniel's identity of like a HVAC company, which is interesting that I'm in the business. I'm literally negotiating an HVAC company right now, owners, right? So I'm looking for these D's, right? Distressed, disease, divorced, something like that. But they've been in business for 20 something years. They're in their late 50s and they're burnt out and they're tired and they have a son and a daughter. Guess what? Sons and daughters, they want to be YouTube stars. They don't want to be working in the HVAC business. They want to be influencers and all that stuff. So the criteria that I'm very clear about is I'm also looking for a certain specific profit margin. And that profit margin has to cover 4 things. So I'll talk to you more about that, Daniel. So it needs to cover it needs to cover the expenses of the business. Number 2, it needs to cover the growth of the business. Number 3, it needs to cover debt service. And number 4, it covers my compensation as an owner. I'm not buying a business because, because I love it. I'm buying it because we wanted cash flow. So those are the 4 things I'm looking for when I'm buying businesses. The other part about that is then, like we talked about EBITDA. So EBITDA is usually for businesses and for those who don't know, it means earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation. So those are the things. So that's a tax term, and those are for professionally run companies. I'm looking at companies that are offline between $1 to $5 million in earnings for the bricks and mortar type of company. So if you think about a title company or a mortgage company, or like we talked about an HVAC company. Because guess what? Private equity firms aren't looking at those companies. And that's about 60%. So there's 20 million businesses a year that are out there for sale. Guess how many of them sell? Less than 20%. Less than 20% of those businesses sell.
Wow.
So going back to like what we talked about with the HVAC company, I'm looking at the ownership and how it's structured. So most small businesses are not run by EBITDA. They're run what's called by SDE, which is seller's discretionary earnings. And that is how you get the multiple of how you evaluate how you evaluate the company. So if it's owner operated, so if it's mom and pop business and maybe they have like 1 to 5 employees, then there's a SDE chart that you can go and look, but let's say industry standard. And for each industry, so for HVAC or any trades associations, that might be like 1 to 3x, right? Earnings. But if it was professionally run, which is or professionally operated, that's where the EBITDA comes from. That might be like a 5x, 10x, 12x, right? If it's a professionally run company. So that's how you separate the difference. So yeah, that's what you mean. Like small businesses. Yeah. You don't really follow EBITDA that much. Yeah. Hope that answered your question.
Are you searching these on Biz Buy Sell? Are you sourcing them through your network? Like, how do you find these opportunities?
All the above. I don't particularly care to work through Biz Buy Sell because sometimes the brokers get involved and they mess up a deal. Just how like with real estate agents, right?
Right.
You can do mail outs, you can get lists. I like to do events. That's my jam. So I'm doing seller events. And so I'm running ads, and then I'm also just using real estate professionals. I'm like, hey, if you're a commercial real estate broker, or a real estate agent, what do? They know business owners, right?
Yeah.
So I just use my professional network. Yep. So that's it. And again, like the same thing, I'm also going into groups. So I belong to probably like 300 or 400 groups.
There's so many things you said that there. A few things. One thing about people who are really good at what they do, they know exactly what they do, exactly how they do it, exactly what the metrics are, exactly what and I think that for many of us, myself included, who are just all over the place, we're not clear on exactly what we do, exactly how we do it, exactly what the metrics are, but you just said that like off the top of your head. Here's what I do. You ran a whole class in 5 minutes, and then you said, this is the part that made me giggle. You said, yep. Like it's just all, so you do this. Yep. Like that's it.
Well, she's a professional. She this is her niche.
She knows what she's talking about. And I think that's fascinating. I do want to circle back to this whole Facebook group thing. What in the heck are you talking about buying Facebook groups? What does that mean?
Well, what's the number one thing that people want is an audience, right? So you need traffic and clients. And so again, all that is just a digital asset. So think about, whether you're in a room, like if we're at any live event, you need an audience, right? You need people, butts in seats to buy your products and services, right? And so one of the easiest assets to buy are these online assets. So it's a Facebook group. It could be a meetup group. It could be associations, like online associations. It could be a school. It could be a YouTube channel, an Instagram channel. All those are digital assets. No difference, not that really big a difference than an actual real brick and mortar business. And so if you have the audience, because remember this, he who controls the audience and is speaking in front of the audience has control of that group. And guess what we do with those Facebook groups? So or like there's a Facebook group there's this lady who has a Facebook group that has 500,000 first-time home buyers. Now, I'm not selling real estate, right? But she's not monetizing. She has 500,000 first-time home buyers. It's a 5,000 member first-time home buyers page. Can you imagine what to do with that kind of group? So what you get them, they onboard, right? So now you have their email, right? Because you can take them off the platform, because that's where the money is. You take them off the platform, you get their email. Then you start creating newsletters and content for not only the first-time home buyers, but then you have agents who are probably lingering on there. And then you create a referral network or an advertising opportunity. Oh, and you're also getting paid by YouTube or whatever channel that you switch those people onto, Instagram. That's the opportunity.
It's so fascinating. It's so cool.
So yeah, meetup groups. Yeah.
I'm fascinated by just how well you know your craft, and how easy it is for you to speak about it. Because honestly, we could have real estate agents on here and they couldn't speak that clearly about how they sell a house, And so it's very fascinating, a number of things. I kind of want to talk a little bit about you. So obviously you own several businesses. That's kind of your thing. How do you look at business ownership in the whole scope of wealth building?
I think we have to be a nation of owners. Ownership is the key. A lot of us are renting our careers. We're renting our lives. And even as real estate agents think that they own their business. If you cannot walk away from your business for a day, a week, a month, or a year, the business owns you. And I was guilty of that. Like y'all, like I said, I've learned it from earning several different companies, and that's what struck me. And this is after, this is just 2 years ago. So I'm only just a few years ago, but that's what I realized. And so ownership is the key to freedom, all that freedom and security and cash flow that we're talking about. It's the ownership piece of it. And so if you don't have that pillar of ownership where the business is making money while you sleep, you are self-employed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do I take myself out of being self-employed and into business owner mode? What would be the first thing that I would need to do to say, you know what you just said, Fee, that's me. I am self-employed. I don't own a business. My business does own me. What's the first step to get out of that cycle and move into true business ownership?
Mindset and decision, making a decision. That's it. The first thing is changing your mind and saying, I no longer want to be self-employed. I am a business owner, because business ownership means freedom. If you can get very clear about your criteria, that's the very first step. The second step after that is, like we talked about, saying, what is it that I want to do? What are my skills, desires, passions, and energy, like in my time that I can invest in growing, in going after business ownership. It's just being very clear about that. And then establishing a criteria, that deal box, that criteria. That's what I had to become very clear about.
What was your first business that you bought? I'm sure you were nervous and didn't know all the details. I mean, right now you're operating at a high level, but let's go back to the first business. How were you evaluating? Like, how did it come about, and how did you get there to get that mindset to the point of, oh wow, I'm doing this wrong. I got to start owning and becoming a business owner and getting out of working for my business.
It started around real estate. Been in the business for 20 years, and we'll go back and do this exercise, but it was my landscaper. It was like helping my landscaper. He was, it was a partnership. David, his name is David. I was in a brand new home construction community, and he wanted, and he was like, hey, could you refer me more business and all that? I said, well, dude, I gotta pay you like PayPal. You don't really have a bank account, all this stuff, And I said, hey, I would love, I said, would you like some help with your business? And he was like, yeah. So I just start that consulting for equity piece of it. And so I start saying, if I can help you, and I said, you're making, like he was making X dollars a month. And I said, if I can help you make, X more dollars, XYZ dollars a month money, would you be willing to give me some equity or partnership in the business? And he said, yes. That's how it started. And then the first project test was really, because we talked about this in November. It was during Christmas. I helped him make an additional $60,000 hanging Christmas lights.
Wow.
And so I took 20% of that. And I was like, oh, this is cool. All I did was help him figure out how to get contracts to hang Christmas lights with his existing clients and customers. And I was hooked after that. That's the very first business that I did.
That's so cool. I think it's truly this concept of coming from a place of contribution. You didn't go saying, how much money can I make with this opportunity? You were like, hey, if I could help you, like, would you be open to that? And then learn the craft through that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so was that you mentioned, Danielle, what was her first business? That sounds like it was a consulting opportunity, or did you actually buy into the business?
No, I had no dollars out of no dollars and cents. Most every single deal that I've done so far has been with little or no money out of pocket. Y'all have to understand that. That's the piece, right? Is little to no money out of pocket. And I've already sold one of them already. So I also got a vending business, because all I care about is cash flow, right? Was a crunch time vending. And it was machines. So I invested a little bit to get some machines, but these vending machines were located in Home Depots, 44 machines. So again, that joint venture. So it's little to no money out of pocket. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Now, you said you were going to walk us through an exercise.
Okay. Yeah. I want to walk you through an exercise so that people can get an idea of where they are in the circle. And I'm going to kind of do this here. I don't know. Oh, I wish I could. So I want y'all to think about this.
If you're driving, I think you should pull over.
Yeah, pull over.
Pull out a pen and a pad. I see Daniel over here writing notes feverishly. You're going to have to share your notes with me. Yeah, you're going to have to share these notes with me, Daniel. But if you're driving, stop what you're doing. She's about to give us some knowledge. Okay. All right. Exercise. I'm ready.
This part. Draw a circle.
Okay.
I want y'all to draw a circle wherever you are. Put yourself, especially because I'm assuming mostly everybody is a real estate professional, real estate agent, right? In this circle, right? So put your name in the middle. So if you put your name in the middle, out of a transaction, in a real estate transaction, we're going to start writing down. I'm going to give you all, we're going to play. I wish we had some Jeopardy music when they come back and edit this, to play some Jeopardy music and say, I want to give you all 30 seconds, and I'm going to help you all 30 seconds to come out with how many people get paid on a real estate transaction. Ready? Go.
Okay.
I want y'all to start writing down. So we'll just talk it out. You and I will talk it out. Y'all, me and Danielle, you, Julia, we'll talk it out. Who gets paid? Title company gets paid, right?
Wait. We're giving them 30 seconds, right?
Okay, yeah, give them 30 seconds.
They'll do it. Yeah. We got 10 more seconds in your 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a timed activity. Yeah.
It is a timed activity. So write this down. How many people get paid? And just write down as many as you can. Just keep that pen to paper, keep going, or type in whatever it is that you're doing. How many people get paid?
That was 30 seconds.
That was 30 seconds. Okay. Yeah. So what do you think people came up with? Let's go with some of the top ones that people get. How many people get paid on a transaction? Let's start naming them.
Well, you got
Yep.
mortgage title, real estate, home warranty,
Yep.
inspector, appraiser,
Yep. Yep.
Insurance.
insurance. Yep.
Yep. Keep going. Keep going, y'all. Utilities.
Yeah.
Yep. Utilities.
Videographers, movers, interior designers, landscapers, home organization people, security, roofing, HVAC, home automation, handyman. And so on average, there are about 51 people, 51 different people can get paid. Of course, the government and the banks and our brokers and all that stuff, but about 51 people can get paid off of a real estate transaction. How many did you get paid off of as a real estate professional?
So going back to Fee did this activity at an event. Speaking of events, you said I like to do events. You invited me to an event that you did, and Fee did this activity at the event. So I already knew in advance. I cheated a little bit, but I remember in the room that I was in, I think the most someone came up with in that 30 seconds was 63. Someone came up with 63 people that get paid from one transaction, right?
Yep. So up to 63 people, like I always just say about 40, on average, about 40 something people can get paid, but 60 something people get paid off of one real estate transaction. And I'm asking you as the real estate professional, how many times have you gotten paid? And mostly some people, if they're good, they'll go, oh, I got paid off of, I'm an investor, I'm a property manager, or if they're a videographer or something like that, or house clean, like I've met this couple who clean houses. Those are, they're already in your circle. So there's 3 ways that you can get paid, right? Off of a transaction. You can do a collaboration, right? You could do like a collaboration and get revenue share off of it. That's one way, right? Number 2, you can do a joint venture, like we talked about that consulting for equity piece of it, right? And the third one is just an acquisition or outright. Some company, how many real estate teams and brokerages do not own? And we got big, like Keller Williams and these big firms, they got big teams that don't own their own mortgage company. They don't own a title company. They don't own, a property management company or like we talked about, a moving company or all these things. You can buy those assets right now. There is somebody who is tired in your circle. You can pick up your phone right now, and we already know there is a tired handyman construction company. There is a tired landscaping company or a company that wants to grow but doesn't know how, that you can partner with and either acquire their business, do a joint venture collaboration, or with little to no money out of pocket.
So talk to me, Fee, about time spent in all of these different things, because sometimes people say, well, I've just got to focus on one thing in order to be successful at it. How do you focus on all these different businesses that you run and still do them effectively and still be sane and live because you sound very calm to me. I feel like you should sound, like your hair is on fire. How do you manage the time of running these and owning these businesses?
Because you're not buying a job, you're buying a business. Think about that. You don't see Warren Buffett, who owns, millions of, not millions, but hundreds of thousands of companies. You don't see, Elon Musk or Oprah. They're not running because you that's coming from an operator mindset, not an owner mindset. Operation mindset is totally different than an ownership mindset. And so it's not, and I don't believe in the word of time management. I believe that you have to manage yourself and your priorities and putting people in place to do the work. So I'm not buying. So what we're buying when we're buying businesses or joint ventures, you're buying their brand, you're buying their history, you're buying their cash flow, you're buying their operations and systems. If they're well functioning businesses. So what you're providing to them is your intellectual capital, and you're providing to them, like I said, sometimes I might be helping with marketing or branding or sales or just helping them with systems. And so again, ownership mindset versus an operator mindset. Yeah, that's it. And so you could do all this stuff without selling more houses, without building a traditional, real estate team and all that stuff, because you already have operators in place.
What does accountability look like in these business lines? Are you meeting with these people and holding accountable metrics?
Yeah. So we have, so with my team, because I've done like business consulting on it, it's metrics, right? Like we talked about this key performance, and matter of fact, me and Jose were just talking about this just this morning. It's what you measure that matters, right? And so we don't care what your key performance indicators. It could be sales, so we talked about sales. It could be how many contacts that you've made, and then most of all, cash collected. Right? What's bottom line? What's your cash collected every day? That's the simplest metric, is like cash collected versus how much money that you're spending out. those are very basic metrics that you, and if you put those in a dashboard where people can see them and hold them accountable to that every day. So I meet with David, or I'm meeting with Tony and his wife, or, like, it just depends on who it is, but they all are very clear about, this is the assignment. And I do my job and they do theirs.
What's your best business? What do you enjoy the most?
Like, for right now, I love the consulting for equity. I'm trying to buy this group right now, but let's see, what do I like the most? Right now, I'm liking this real estate marketplace that I'm part of. I love it. Like, that piece is fun.
Tell us about that. What is that?
I can't talk about it like publicly yet.
Okay.
It's a real estate marketplace. So think about a Carfax for your home, or think about an Amazon marketplace where you can go get home services on a place like that for home services.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. And again, that was through a relationship. I didn't, I get paid per month, and then I have some ownership equity in the company.
Sure. Now, I know somebody's listening to you like, man, I love her. I've got to hear more of this lady. You actually do have a podcast where you share some of this information. Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so it is a podcast called Roots and Riches, and I co-host with myself and Jose Aviles. And so it's, me and a millennial Latino guy, and he's a master marketer. I mean, he markets with some of the biggest names in marketing. And so we talk about, cultural influence in business. And so that's really what we talk about, is, looking at the underrepresented, unseen, underserved women, men, et cetera, in the industry. And so we talk a lot about these things, about business acquisitions, about, a lot of people, I'm like, my pet peeve right now is like, these people keep talking about scaling a business. Well, we don't even have the basics right? Like, because I meet with so many business owners, and y'all, most of these business owners are a wreck. They don't have, they don't have their sales organizations, sales processes. They don't have their reach out, their outreach campaigns. They don't have, and then we won't even talk about technology. I mean, so like just layering it with technology. I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, that part is crazy. So that's what we talk about. And so we talk about, like, how do you stay rooted in your tradition, in the roots that you grew up with, right? And get rich. So that's what we talk about. Yeah.
How do you stay connected with the roots that you grow up in and get rich? That sounds like that's a whole episode all in itself, right? This is called the Color of Money podcast. Obviously, we share similar audiences, but how do you stay rooted in the roots you grow up with and still become wealthy?
Right, because you see it as a superpower so many times. Remember when I was in the D&I space, one of the things that I really was frustrated about D&I, was that everybody was talking about our differences. And I said, no, it's our differences that is our superpower, and it's our strength, and how we leverage that. And so whether you speak a different language, that's a superpower. Whether you are, if you're, Black and grew up in the hood, that is a superpower because you've learned some skills. Whether you're a young millennial or a Gen Z, that is a superpower because there is somebody who has your voice, your audience that you can always speak to. And so how you use it to become wealthy is you use it as two things. You see it as somebody that you can aspire, that you can lead and be a leader, and that somebody can aspire and learn from you. Or you can use it as, like, if you've had bad experiences or negative experiences, to learn from that as well, because nothing is wasted. Everything's a lesson, or everything's a lesson in life. Nothing is wasted. And so you use your cultural roots because everybody has these rich cultural roots, wherever you come from, however you come from, we all have these rich cultural roots that you can dig deep into those things and draw strength from your ancestors, or the languages, or the culture, the food, whatever it is, and grow a business. And when I talk about being rich is not just monetarily rich. We're talking about rich with resources, rich in relationships, rich with, self-love. Yeah, those things. Yeah.
I love that. Well, we were talking about, who are our upcoming guests going to be. And I said, let's have Fee. And I didn't know what we were going to talk about today, Fee. I was just like, let's just bring Fee. She'll talk about something, Right. And I am so glad we did. I'm embarrassed that we took so long to have you on the podcast. You are a wealth of knowledge, obviously, right? Wonderful, beautiful spirit, wealth of knowledge. And certainly you've got so much to offer that we'll definitely have to have you come back again. And I know Emmerich and Bo are going to be disappointed that they missed you because you've got a lot of value to add. I guess I would say, what is one thing that you would want this particular audience to leave this conversation with?
Yep. I always with this particular conversation, I want people to make the decision to become owners. That's the number one thing that I really want. Make the decision, because it's not simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. But once you make the decision that you want to own your own business, because that's where the freedom is. We keep saying that that we want, I'm here to leave a legacy and I want to do all these things. Make the decision to become an owner. Let's move from the operator mindset to the ownership mindset. That's my one thing that I want to leave with this audience.
And with that, the doors of the church are open. Is there one? Is there one?
Is there one?
Yeah.
Is there one?
Is there one? I would like to be one, Fee. I have made the decision. I am a business owner. That was wonderful. You are wonderful. Daniel, anything else we should ask Fee before we let her go?
One question. How do you protect yourself in these partnerships? Are you really tight with operating agreements and roles and specific duties and things like that?
That is correct. I've paid thousands of dollars. So I've been trained by, peers, peers who operate in the mergers and acquisition space. And so I have access to lawyers and documents documents who look over every single thing. So, and the other thing is we set up what's called an SVP, which is a special vehicle, a special purpose vehicle, SPV, a special purpose vehicle that protects you, that keeps, a shield of protection away from you, when you're doing these deals. Yeah.
Cool.
Just keep them simple. And a lot of times just keep them simple. And he who controls the terms and conditions controls the contract.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Strength through partnership. I love it.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Fee. We will definitely have you back for another episode. And thank you all for tuning in to the Color of Money podcast. We'll catch y'all next time.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not KWRI and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information.